And we're on. We are on the internets. We are live.
Yes, live and on the internets, ready to be canceled, ready to be tweeted, hashtagged, and subreddited.
Yes,
Tid.
subreddited.
Yes.
Fandible. 10 years, still not canceled. Put that on a t-shirt.
Hey everybody, I am Professor Dave, specializing in Shadowrun and all things min-maxing and tweaking characters.
And I'm Professor Dan, specializing in kind of making shit up as I go along.
And Changeling. Oh,
yeah, that
checks
too.
out.
I mean, pretty much.
That really does
Pretty
check
much.
out. And we are here today
Enough, that's the only game I have notes for.
We are here to invite you into our office as we are professors in this prestigious university of Fandible. To our office hours where you can ask questions about our specialty, our subject today, or really anything. And our subject today is miniatures.
Yes.
Miniatures and role-playing games.
Which is a big, honestly, has always been a big part of our audio-only podcast.
Yep, absolutely. Just moving tiny plastic dolls around and then measuring them and making pew-pew sounds. I will be mostly unkind to miniatures during this podcast, during this episode, but I do appreciate them, especially friend of the show Tex is incredibly talented at making miniatures, and it is 90% why I ran a Savage Worlds game. So
That's true.
So I actually like miniatures. I just think that, I like to make fun of them because Jesus loves them so much. And Guess who's not here to defend them?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
right. I mean, it's as I explained earlier, before we were on air, where I said, like, look, there is a part of my brain that looks at minis and says, nope, stay away, that's nerd shit. And as if I were not some kind of huge nerd already. But there's a part of me that resists. There's a part of me that deeply needs to look down upon and scoff at those who spend hours upon hours painting minis and building little pretend lead. I assume minis are still made of lead generally. Just, armies. And I do that because I know that they are aiming right at my fucking weak spot. Like there's, those video game displays and like the bosses like hit areas like highlighted.
Yep.
Like minis are like aiming right at them. If I allow myself to fall, I will fall hard.
Okay. I mean, I get it. Also, I tried to make minis for my Dungeons and Dragons game and also my Savage Rifts game, and it went pretty well. There's a genuine sense of elation and accomplishment when you build a good mini, genuinely. And the reason why we are talking about minis and we have minis on the brain is because we are playing in a Gaslands game.
Gaslands.
Yes, a Gaslands game. I actually put the book away.
Not sure. Why did we do that?
Oh, it's over there, but I can get it after the break. We're playing in a Gaslands game, which I actually advocated for. We were looking for a minis game to play on Jesus's channel, and I found Gaslands, which is effectively Mad Max but doesn't take itself too seriously, and immediately fell in love. Also, because of the crunch, because of the labyrinthine rule set that is very difficult to pierce, but once you do, it becomes second nature. I fell in love with it. I loved it. I looked at the rules. I thought, this doesn't make any sense. It's $20. Let's go. And I learned the rules before Dan and Jesus. I sent them, I think, a pretty rambling sequence of emails or some shit.
Yeah.
Where I like broke it down. And once again, much like Shadowrun hacking, I'm sure that they were like, I'll look at this when it matters. And
I have yet to crack open the book.
Yeah. It's a cool game. It's a cool game. I really like it. So we are going to play Gaslands, and we're all going to play different teams. And so we were talking about miniatures. And
So we have to make little cars.
yeah, or more specifically, Jesus has to make us little cars.
True, he did volunteer.
Or I'm going to make a phone call and get Tex to make us the baddest ass little cars, or at least some terrain. And that brings me to my first question, Dan.
Yes, sir.
Which do you think is more important? Well-defined miniatures or well-defined terrain?
So here's the thing. You want a well-defined miniature for your character. You don't care about the rest of the party. You don't care about the monsters. But you want your little, mini to be the shiniest mini, the best mini. So there is a certain importance to the player minis. Mm-hmm. That said, having played in our previous game, which again I think that carried over very well into our audio-only format, where Tex had prepared some absolutely amazing just dioramas. Really, those aren't terrain, those are like dioramas. Mm-hmm. And really the level of excitement because we would be playing and we would be doing our role playing and we would be doing scenes back and forth and all that, but we knew we were looking at the terrain from the corner of our eyes. And when the time came, when Tex would plop that terrain on the table and we got to place our little minis, and then we saw the what I can only term as our victims over on the other side of the map, we were badasses.
It depended on who our opponents were. There were definitely moments where oh no.
But for the most part, we were pretty badass in that game.
Yeah.
And yeah, it set the scene. It really helped you pictures these valleys of ice and this terrain and everything. So the well-made terrain, I think in the long run trumps the individual minis, because if at the end of the day I'm just using a little cardboard mini, but I was using a little cardboard mini on a really nice map, I was there. I was still there. The map I think will pull me in better.
I get that. I am inclined to agree, but at the same time I'm split, because when you look down at a mini, I want to feel invested in the little thing that I'm moving around the board, right? And so I look at things like Hero Forge.
Yeah.
And if you tell me you can spend $20 on some terrain for one fight scene, or you can spend $20 on a Hero Forge that will be with you the entire game.
Yeah.
I'm more inclined to feel fucking pumped every time my miniatures on the board, right? You can give crumpled up pieces of newspaper as rocks, and you can give little tea lights as fires and stuff. That's fine. But I kind of want to look down, and when I see my character, I want to see the personification of what that character is, so I'm more invested, right? Yes. And also other players are invested, because imagine that you change weapons dramatically. You go from a sword and shield to a laser gun or something, and so then you change the mini and it reflects the change of your character. And then you change their hair or their clothes or something. You paint them differently. The thing about terrain is that terrain only pops up when combat's going to happen.
True.
And it's kind of a joy kill in that way. But I feel like if you say okay, you're in the tavern, and then first of all, I want to say, even though it would be a huge pain in the ass, I think it would be cool if you could run a game that has terrain and offer terrain where combat is not going to happen. For instance, terrain where the terrain itself is the danger, right? So slippery slopes or chasms that have to be jumped over, or rolling, boulders, stuff like that. Or just the tavern.
Yeah.
In case shit pops off. Who's going to have shit pop off? Probably your characters.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah, probably your players. So draw out the tavern and put them in there, but then you get to see your icons, your personal icons down there. I feel like that might be a little bit more important for being pumped up for the character.
Fair,
but what you're saying is being pumped up for the environment, being the situation, which I totally get.
We might have to catch up on chat.
Yeah.
I think you've got literally all our camera equipment is between me and the chat, so I think you might have to catch up on it there.
All right. Fair. Let's see. The Part-Time Geek says Jesus will probably end up lurking in the chat. Maybe. It's entirely possible.
He's been known to do that.
Stevedore, too, says, Stevedore is not there in person to defend miniatures. He can only shout unheard from the Peanut Gallery. Peanut Gallery being the name of the miniature set that you bought your cheap-ass little Lego men from. Stevedore, too, follows up and say, gotta look stylin', but having nice terrain really does bring the level of gameplay to a new level. Yes, absolutely. It definitely does have a wow factor that I completely agree with. Also, don't forget, I'm going to disparage miniatures.
Oh, yes.
Please remember that. The Part-Time Geek says, the few times I've used minis, I've never had to make a choice between good minis or good terrain. I'd assign equal importance to both in terms of investing and immersing into the story. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for both. Like, really, I mean, if you can get the full picture, right, all the better. In a perfect world, you want them both. But if you only had the choice of you've got fancy terrain, or you can have each player has a really nice mini. I think most people would choose with I have my really nice mini.
Yeah.
Because you're playing the adventure for your character, and you want your character to be cool and do cool things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think that, but with terrain, it locks you into... Terrain is genuinely what makes the story, right?
Yes.
So when you talk to your friends about this game, you're not going to talk constantly about how your character has fire red hair that looked like flames and stuff like that because your mini was so dumb. You're going to be like, can you imagine how long it took Tex to make that rickety old, wooden bridge?
Holy crap. Can you imagine? I don't even want to know.
Yeah, that when he pressed a switch actually fell down, but all of our characters were on magnets, so all of our little icons, all of our minis, stayed on the bridge when it slapped against the rocks. He's done shit
it's
like
wild.
that. He's a madman and should be stopped. Or, hey Tex, if you're watching this, open an Etsy shop, you fucking lunatic.
We'll
you could be
the fuck
making
out of
so
it.
much money.
Hell, you won't need us to promote the fuck out of it. You will be just
You'll be just fine. You'll be gearing your business towards people like us who would be like, oh yeah, let's make some minis and some terrain. You know what? I just got paid. Let's put $25 towards getting terrain from somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get the terrain thing, and we'll go into the terrain, my personal terrain philosophy later. Stevedore 2 says, suppose it depends on the point of view. Are you the player or the game runner? Players are more likely to want their own miniature, and the DM/GM, Dungeon Master or Game Master, is responsible for the terrain. Okay, very good point. Because if you want your stamp on the game and it's going to be a minis game, obviously I think the game master is going to want to put their stamp on and say, not only do I run a good game, but you're going to remember these fucking set pieces. Right? Absolutely. To be clear though, I ran a D&D game some time ago where Tex made a lot of the terrain, and I tried to make some of the terrain, and it was fine.
It wasn't Tex terrain.
It wasn't, and I think that's a weird. I think that, you know what? If you suck at terrain, make terrain. Fuck it. If you're the only one running the game, make terrain. If there is if you're running D&D, Savage Worlds, Rotted Capes, anything that requires or heavily insinuates you should have minis for combat scenes, make terrain. Especially if you're running the game, fucking the players can suck it up. You know what? If this Coke can that you cut in half is half a silo or a grain silo or something in a dilapidated post-apocalyptic farm, good. Like, you're doing more than most people do.
Like we had, so I mean, we had the game with text, right? That was the Howling North.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that one had incredible terrain. And then we also played Savage Rifts. And in Savage Rifts, we had the minis, and we had like custom minis that were built and everything, but we didn't really have proper terrain on that one.
No,
We had a grid, a map, a foldable map, and we had a whole bunch of basically Jenga blocks, like
Yeah.
little,
Oh, yeah.
like, yeah, and we just built terrain as needed with those. And the thing is, like, again, for all that I appreciate the crazy terrain from before, but the situations and stories and things that we played in that Savage Rifts game, I still remember some of those layouts, even though they were like just a whole bunch of wooden blocks around like a plastic tank. And yet, like, yeah, I remember the fucking standoff against the. What was the name? The bug people, basically.
This Zeatrix or something
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like that. But yeah, like the whole thing. So even simple, like literally just made out of wooden blocks terrain with a good story and the good and like and you remember your minis. It'll still stick in your head as a
Yeah.
player. So there is that. It's as much as I think the individual minis, especially individual player minis, at the end of the day probably do trump all. But if you have the terrain though, that's one of those, like, that just stands out no matter what.
I think that holding terrain for big fights,
Yeah.
like boss battles. But if I could give any recommendation, I did buy a big old bucket of random blocks, wooden blocks and like wooden cylinders and stuff. Highly recommend it. That's what Dan's talking about. So useful for, like, yeah, it's a fight scene and y'all need terrain, so here we go.
Yeah, and you've got little wooden columns and little wooden blocks and little wooden ramps.
Squares and and like you said, like ramps and like
Like
whatever.
Those are like for kids. They sell them like they're like for toddlers. Yeah, and they work. They work to keep us entertained as well.
Yeah,
turns out.
So we've got scroll up.
Yeah. So, yep.
I think we got more actually up there.
No.
Choice sorry.
Yep.
Oh no, I broke it. Part-Time Geek says, to Stevedore, very good point. Part-Time Geek says, I've created CGI terrain for my storytelling games that had nothing to do with combat. All ambience.
Nice.
Interesting. CGI terrain.
Were these online games, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I'm curious how you dispense that to your players. Steve Door 2 says, sounds like Tex is a madman and needs to be enabled. Yeah, the same way that Michael Myers from Halloween needs to be enabled. The man needs to be studied. Part-Time Geek says, I've seen a little of what Tex has done, top-notch craftsmanship.
True, because we did post some pictures on our Instagram, which
have,
we still technically do have, yes.
We have droves of more pictures we really should upload.
Oh, yeah.
Tex is it's just absolutely unparalleled, skilled on making terrain. It's insane. Malvos, hey Malvos, says, I for one have always agonized over games that revolve around minis and terrain, to the point I just don't want to play anything that's not, quote, theater of the mind. Hey, I'm with you there, except for one. I am mostly with you, except some role-playing, specifically D&D, is nerd poker, right? It's nerd craps. It's nerd Texas Hold'em. It is people sitting around and getting invested in these dice rolls and these expenditures. Yep. And if you add even the most like basic of miniature movement, especially if it's a game where movement is important, like how far it can move in a certain round or something, I seriously have not seen Fandible so excited about dice rolls as when I ran that D&D game in the prison city. I'm dead ass serious.
No, true. There were like moments like you were standing up at the table, like come on.
Yeah, and then the fucking cheering and high-fiving when somebody rolled well.
Yep.
And it's, I think a huge part of that was because we had terrain. It wasn't good terrain. It was blocks and shit. But like, you know what? Somebody hid behind something or just a little bit. And then I, as the storyteller, or as the dungeon master, as it were, said like, okay, the goblin's going to try to shoot you. And somebody's like, wait. And then takes out the tape, the measuring tape. Like, I don't think he can hit me. And me being like, shit, no, but I said that's what he does. And he ineffectually shoots, and it binks off of the column you're behind, and everyone's like, yes, and it's like, it's not an us versus them thing, it's not a me versus them thing. It was genuinely one of the most purest moments of the storyteller being proud and happy for the players, because that's why you're there, to have fun for the players and yourself. I fucking loved it. I absolutely loved it. Get some blocks, don't try too hard. Theater of the Mind is great, but if I could, I would have at least one fight in Shadowrun be on minis.
Someday.
Yeah, but not with 5 fucking players.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless that is the game. Like, all right, we've got the next 4 hours for this fight.
Yep, exactly.
In which case, we'd make a fucking production out of it at that point. Like,
oh.
I feel like if that was going to be a thing, like, yeah, we need to have like terrain and mini, like, do it proper.
Yeah.
And then
and Angela would have to play somebody else.
basically, and then Angela's like, what do you do? I might take my mini off the map. See you guys next week, I guess.
I build an entirely different mini of the of the call center that she breaks into to like call her contacts. All right,
okay, so chat has been kept going without us, so need to catch up on that. Holy crap!
Malvos, are we caught up on this one?
Yeah.
All right. Part-Time Geek says, hey, Malvos. That's pretty much all I do these days because it's a hassle, right? Malvos says, I can't even do virtuals. Sometimes I want to because Lancer sounds like catnip to me, but God, the effort. Lancer.
It's a mech combat. Mech tabletop RPG. Mech combat. I mean, if it's a mech, it's mech combat. But yes.
All right, fair. Mech dialogue, though. Yeah. Mech negotiation sounds good. Malvo says, Part-Time Geek says, I'll make scenes with Daz primarily and usually just render snapshots to share with the players. Quote, this is what your ship looks like. This is the bar where the Kings of Hell MC hangs out. And quote, love that. I do like that. Like putting in visual representations of important areas so that when you describe them later, players understand what you're trying to say. So nobody walks in and it's like, what are you talking about? There are pillars. Like, no one ever told me there were pillars.
Right.
They understand there are pillars in, the dance club. Stevedore 2 says, I'm going to have to duck out soon, but I'll leave this question behind. How do you feel about virtual assets for virtual tabletops like Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds, Foundry, Virtual Tabletop, etc.? Digital maps make terrain easy, but miniatures are often reduced to little pog tokens with a picture on them. Some of the fancier ones have better miniature representation. So during lockdown here in New York City, when no one was allowed to leave their homes, I tried my best to get into Fantasy Grounds and virtual tabletop, Roll20, stuff like that. I did my absolute best, and it was cool. It was cool, especially if you pay the extra $20 or a month or whatever for lighting effects.
Oh yeah.
So that it calculates darkness and stuff like that for you. That's cool, but in the end, I realized that it would be so much simpler to just use Google Docs and send people pictures. And then what did we wind up using? Just coins moved around the screen. We did something like that.
Yeah.
And it was Google Drafts or some shit. And it was some free online thing that we did that moved coins.
Oh yeah, no, that was for because somebody created a Google Doc for basically, I think it was Nitrate City basically. Mm-hmm. And it was basically automated. It was interesting.
So you just move stuff around that around the screen,
Yeah.
and then everybody else could see it in real time, and then all people had to do was have a rolling program open on their screen.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, no, I think there was one on the game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
another
yeah.
way to make like centralized rolls. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was free and it was fine. And these other Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, and all
No,
that
there's
shit.
a lot of other stuff that's come out. There's one called One More Multiverse, which is full on, just like build entire worlds. It looks like a sort of 3/4 top down game.
Oh, cool.
And there's some advanced stuff that's so what the one I'm excited about. But this is like fucking 5-10 years out still. There are currently some virtual tabletop options for like VR headsets, and they're really cool from what I've seen. Because you are around, even if you're not there with people, you put that on. There's people around. There are
Oh,
minis.
wild.
You can reach out. You can move your minis on what looks like a physical map, right, in virtual reality. This exists today. What doesn't exist is everybody having hacking VR headsets. But that's not going to change anytime very soon. That's why I say that's probably 5-10 years out. But with the VR headsets that we'll have in 5-10 years, hopefully, right? They'll be cheaper, they'll be smaller, etc. As technology tends to go, that sort of virtual tabletop, yeah, that's gonna be dope.
Yeah.
It's gonna be real cool.
Oh, yeah. Ideally.
Demio, yeah, exactly. Somebody, I see it on the chat there. Again, all the equipment is between me and chat. But yeah, Mavos mentioned Demio or Demio. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's basically serial numbers filed off D&D, virtual D&D.
Part-Time Geek says Tabletop Simulator lets you do both
There you go,
terrain
see?
and full, sometimes animated minis. Tabletop Simulator is an outlier. I honestly, because it's like the Photoshop of tabletop gaming, right? Virtual tabletop gaming. If you know how to use it, it is unbelievably powerful. But boy, howdy, is the buy-in very high. So Malvo says, I 100% agree with you, David. We could just stop right there.
All right, well, we had a good
Thank
stream.
you very much, y'all. Have a good... I 100% agree with you, David, on the nerd poker level. I understand the appeal and the level of immersion, I guess. It's definitely something I'm staring down like a Wild West standoff, and I'll eventually cave. Malvos, I think there is a happy medium there. There absolutely is a way that you cannot freak out or feel too saddled by responsibility or stress when you're thinking of minis. And this is something coming from a person who lost fucking sleep over this. I guarantee it. Like, trust me, your players are there to have fun. As long as you put stuff in front of them that helps them have fun, they're going to be fine. If they can believe that dragons and magic are real and that like a paladin can summon the force of a god, they can believe that a goddamn block or some Legos are flipped over cars or carriages or Sherman tanks. It doesn't matter. They're going to want to believe it. So you're okay. Part-Time Geek says Tabletop Simulator also allows for VR. I know that because I want to flip over a table in VR at least once in my life. Malvos says Demio VR. Part-Time Geek says, I've looked at some gameplay of Demio. Very impressive. Right. TS is very system agnostic. TS?
Tabletop Simulator.
Got it.
Yeah, Tabletop Simulator is, it was made more for like games, cards, dice, stuff like that. Yep. So, yeah.
But do you have to put in your own rules? Like, how the fuck does that work?
Yeah, it's a whole thing. I tried to look at
Tabletop
Simulator once.
In, like, people must have, like, made rule sets.
Presumably. Like I said, I tried to look at Tabletop Simulator once, and my eyes kind of glazed over.
Well, speaking of eyes glazing over, we're brought to you by a sponsor. The sponsor put out a lot of money to be able to sponsor this episode of Fandible Office Hours. So we'd like you to please watch the entirety of their their commercial. And when we come back, we will have a special special camera set up to talk about what we're doing today.
All right,
Tonight.
and bring up the promo.
Did we get that?
Yeah.
Did we get it?
Pretty sure.
Dude, what the fuck?
Look, I hit there's too many
sponsor.
buttons on
Not
this
the
thing.
fucking-
Look,
not
it's
the
this.
promo,
It's this
the
one.
sponsor.
Here we go. And we are live once again.
Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for sitting through those two
What?
commercials.
They're good commercials.
They are very good commercials,
They are.
one of which is actually what we meant to play.
Yes, yes.
So what do we've got? We've got Part-Time Geek saying rolling on the floor laughing at table flipping. Oh my god, yes, could I? They follow up with TS Workshop is a huge what's that? TS Tabletop Simulator?
Yes.
All right, cool. Malvos says, I used to play a lot of simulated board games on Tabletop Sim. It's how I tried before I bought several board games. Oh, interesting. That's a very cool idea. Oh. Spirit Island, Dice Throne, Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards. That's
Duel at Mount Skullsfire. It's a
oh
whole
no,
thing.
that's a Gwar album. If ever I've heard one, that sounds dope as hell. I think Dan is also. Oh no, I know you are because of how much we own between the two of us. We love board games.
We do.
Oh, dude, we love board games so much. I would love to play more board games with Fandible.
Yeah.
It's just it's not in the cards right now.
Yeah.
Or card games. When we went to cons, more we would get board games and card games, and then we'd play in our rooms. So hopefully, when things calm down, we will be able to do that once more. Malvo says, Banana Light sounds like a variety of Jack Stallion.
Jack Stallion Banana Light.
Oh, so it's basically like a light version of whiskey, but it's flavored like banana, and it tells people don't talk to me.
Also, yeah, well, you drink a full bottle of Jack Stallion Banana Light, and you will not know what time it is anymore.
love
We're
that.
not saying you'll travel to time, but you will no
Because
longer
it's
know.
Jack Stallion. I believe it's only light by like 0.05% alcohol content. Yeah. Oh my God, I love that idea. It's like, yeah, it's technically light and it tastes like bananas. And we're not going to explain why this is a thing, but all we know is we have 500 barrels of it to push. So, and also 13 dead from the incident in the refinery. So, Jack Stallion Banana Light. Fucking travel through time. Um,
Ooh, Illimat. Her first foray into board games was Illimat, and that's deeply flavored. I have Illimat. I picked it up at Gen Con 28 years ago, back when we could still go to pandemics without it being a thing.
Go to
And
pandemics
go
without
to
it being
pandemics. Go to cons. Go to cons. Holy shit! Pandemic brain has in fact fucked me up by now.
It's infected our words, man.
But yeah, like I picked it up and it's at home in the box, and someday I'll get to play it.
Tell you what, viewers, if you would like there to be maybe like once a month, a office hours is we play a board game live.
Because we can do that now, and here's why. Look at that. We have a camera here. Oh, how the hell did that get in
That's
there?
weird. Yeah, that's
weird.
really weird.
That's
yeah,
not-
sorry about that.
That seems
everybody.
to be some kind of
Yeah,
promotional
geez. My
item
God.
for a certain game that one could pick up on if one was a Patreon follower.
Yep. Yep.
But look, we have yet another camera here, and minis, and I guess this is paint and whatever the fuck that is, and some boxes.
And we've got all kinds
and
of
an
stuff.
audio cable. Like we can make this happen now. Like
Audio cable. Yep. And because we are going to be playing Gaslands on Jesus's I almost said webpage because I'm 1,000 years old.
no, on his YouTube
YouTube
channel. Right?
channel.
Yeah, because we're recording this for us and for the YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, it's going to be on his Angel Fire page. Here we go. We've got
Look
cars.
at that. Look at these. All right. Wow, those are some cars. All right. These are made of what appears to be lead.
Lead plastic. It's
lead
the
plastic. It's extra...
the finest combination of lead and plastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whichever combination is cheapest.
Yep. This here, by the way, this grid thing is given to us by Tex. You can see maybe some of the spray paint that has gone onto it, and it is how he made hexes on his various boards that he made, and so he bequeathed it to me when he moved out of town. We have a lot of other things from Tex that I didn't want to drag out that definitely involve at the very least utilizing outside because of their heat ratio, and also because they might be poisonous to our cat and dog. So yeah. Hey, you know what? Patrons, viewers, maybe if we get over a certain amount of, I don't know, subscriptions, is that how this works?
Yes.
I don't know. Dan and I will actually try to build stuff on screen.
I can, I can try.
No, but like for real.
I can try for real.
We'll do one terrain thing, and then we'll do one miniature thing, and it has to be maybe it's made up by the patrons slash viewers, or even more horrifyingly, it's assigned by the other members of Fandible who are not here.
Ooh. Okay, this little guy.
I'll do anything for bits, apparently.
Yes, delicious bits.
I don't know what those are.
They're delicious.
Don't know what those are.
Give them to me. Oh, they run on their own. They have little.
Part-time Geek says, Jack Stallion. Hey, one day Jack Stallion is, by the way, going to be a sponsor for the show. Look out for that.
I'm having fun with this thing.
Oh yeah, they all have motors. Or at least, crank motors,
Little
like you pull them back,
yeah.
Malvo says, my first foray into board games was... Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Said that? Sorry.
which as he says, was actually a game invented by the Decemberists.
No shit.
Yeah,
I love the Decemberists.
they made a board game. I own it. I'll bring it next week.
Oh, they're so
It's
weird.
it's small. It's like a little compact board, and it's a very weird board game.
I
So you
bet.
can imagine, as Mabo says, it's kind of Illuminati inspired.
I love it. Part-Time Geek says, going to pandemics without it being a thing, and quote, isn't that the current CDC?
Standard operating procedure. Yeah,
I heard about that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's over, everybody. Let's ignore the fact that I caught it 3 weeks ago.
Or that the latest Gen Con was effectively a super spreader event.
Are you serious?
They had to set up Discord channels for contact tracing.
No.
Like, so many people got infected at Gen Con.
Are you serious?
Anybody could have seen that coming 1,000 miles away, because they were being super lax with their mask mandates. There were people walking around without masks and nobody seemed to care. It was a mess. It was a mess. I thought it was bad the year I tried to go. And then this year, apparently, because everybody just... Look, I get it. I know everybody wants it to be over, but you can want things real hard and it doesn't make them true.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think that maybe this Christmas, this creepy Christmas, Halloween, might be like the safest time of the year because everybody's supposed to wear masks.
At least you're wearing a mask one way or another. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think about maybe going to a con. What if the con was just Purge themed and everybody had those kill God masks or whatever, but you're still wearing a mask is the point. Malvo says, more topic centered. I'm looking into getting into the war game Malifaux.
Hey, we know
I didn't know that Malifaux was a war game.
Oh, it is. It's originally a war game, and then I think they made a tabletop review, because that's why Jesus was originally interested in it, because he's a war game geek.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard.
Right? And then when he saw that there was a tabletop RPG for it, he was like, finally I can voice this upon my friends.
Yeah. I mean, it does sound dope as hell. It's a fantastic setting.
And as he says, partially,
Malvo says, partially thanks to Jesus, who does a phenomenal lore read for characters in the universe on a YouTube channel I can't remember. That would be Arvondis, which we will look for. We will post in the chat in a moment for a link. But yeah, so Jesus does an amazing job on his YouTube channel, discussing lore and enveloping lore and writing things within lore for various, mostly tabletop mini war games. He loves war games. So absolutely, we are both really psyched about Malifaux. It's a tough thing to put together because scheduling and everything like that. But we've both had characters for a year now?
At least, yeah.
At least a year. And I absolutely can't wait. It's Malifaux Into the Breach. So it's the one that takes you into another dimension. And I'm playing a gunslinger with a clockwork pistol. And of course, Dan is playing a magic user.
I am. Huh.
Because
funny how that works.
Why fuck wouldn't you? That's the thing. It's like, I love Malifaux. It sounds very cool, but it's like you could play a miner, a gunslinger, a farmer, a con man, a wizard. It's like, stop right there. Everything else you said is real, and I know what that is. That last part is new and not real, and I don't know what that is, and that sounds exciting. And we've talked about this before.
Yeah. And also, thank you, Seance Knowles, for posting the link. I thought I had posted it. I hit enter, and I did not apparently post it. You did. So thank you for that. That is the link to Jesus' YouTube channel.
Yep.
Thank you so much for that one.
Yep.
But yes, we look at this. There's minis.
Oh, I forgot that's still
there's
on.
an actual mini here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's showing. Yeah, it's showing on camera. There it is.
So, and then of course we have.
Did he do? Oh, he did a TNG production too as well. Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? I don't. Yeah, if I remember correctly, he's done like lore reads, but also, like, yeah, but also Jesus, I think, has those videos on his channel because he shared them with us. So
Really?
yeah, I remember he like when we did Malifaux, he sent us like these are the videos for the lore,
Huh.
and they were his videos.
Wild.
Yeah,
I don't like him being so popular with this.
he's very popular. With
I don't
this.
like that. I don't like that. It's weird. He's weird.
Yeah,
And he likes dolls that
like
use...
by the numbers, guns. By the numbers, I believe Fandible is technically the side project.
Oh, I mean, yeah, of
yeah.
course.
Oh, look at that! So many guns. I mean, they're basically little blocks at this point. I'm gonna crack this open.
Do it.
There we go. Let's get one of these out there. Anybody's tuning in expecting actual miniature painting and stuff? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Oh, boy,
No.
this is great. Here we go. You can tell, but look, guns. So we have. I mean, we're gonna have to mount some of these onto the cars. I think is how this game works.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like I don't know what this is, but I want it on one of my cars.
So Dan, we should probably talk about. Why don't we segue into talking about what our groups are going to be?
Yeah.
In
Sure.
Gaslands.
All right, great. What's this game about? I was not kidding when I said I have yet to crack open the book. I know we discussed this.
It's
I have
the
an
Mad
idea.
Max car thing.
Yes. So
And
it's
you
a
were
Mad Max.
playing drunken hillbillies that paint all of their windows black,
Yes.
so that they can't see.
Because there was a specific mechanic in the game that's basically like your cars are effectively all but indestructible, but also all but ungovernable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like become ungovernable.
Yep.
And so they basically they just paint all their windows and doors black, windows and just. They simply can't see, and then they just hit the accelerator and go, and kind of hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly. So Dan is going to be playing the team of hillbilly bootleggers. I can't remember their names. The book's over there, but I can't really be bothered. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be playing, I think it's called Miyazaki or something like that. And that is the company that makes it so that you're, I think, more delicate, but you can ignore one bad die roll per turn. And can you imagine why I'd want to go with that?
Yeah.
So we're really looking forward to it. My team will be called the Upper Crust, which will be based on English gentry. And Dan, I don't know if you came up with like a theme, like a gimmick. It's like a wrestling gimmicks, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's I think
I'm
just
still...
come up with something stupid and then that's my gimmick. Let's talk about it right now because it is a miniature game.
Sure.
So your team, we've already established the methodology in which your team races, which is covering all of the windows black and then hoping for the goddamn best.
Yeah, covering the windows black and the outside of the cars with these, basically. as many of these as I can, and then just before we like close the door on the car, just kind of like make sure you're aiming in the general direction of where you want to go.
Yep.
And then go.
All right. So just fires random guns, swerves wildly, doesn't understand when it will hit something. I love this team. I love this goddamn team.
Watch me win this game.
You might actually. I know the rules. You don't. Like I know what you're doing. It might work. God damn it, you crazy son of a bitch! It might work. So what theme would a small team of racers for a larger company that is effectively drunken southern bootleggers?
I mean, I feel like we're sponsored by Jack Stallion, honestly.
Holy shit, that's a tie-in. I didn't even think of that.
I mean,
The Jack Stallions?
I think the thing was, right, that we were bootleggers.
Yeah.
Like, there was a whole point about us being bootleggers. Because the I guess the whatever team within the game that has those moves are like originally like moves.
Oh yeah, so we're all sponsored by bigger sponsors, and that's your sponsor is a team of fucking like hillbilly bootleggers. So I love that. So Team Jack Stallion,
hell yeah,
or the Jack Stallions.
The Stallions.
The Stallions. I love it. I absolutely love it. So with that in mind, what is your primary car? Because we're going to start with one car each, right? We're not going to have a team.
Right.
One car. My car's name, as a part of the upper crust, is the Viceroy. What is your primary car's name?
I kind of want to call it the Still.
The Still.
For two reasons. One, because it never is. And second, because it is.
So the person who drives it is locked inside a black car that cannot see outside, but they have an unlimited supply of whiskey just dripping from the back.
There's got to be some kind of mechanic in the game for me to like be able to like that's my nitro. It's like when we need a boost, just fucking open the valve and let some Jack Stallion into the tank.
Jack Stallion into the tank, and then put a lighter next to a like empty...
Literally just open up a little like like gas cap that's inside the car and just drop a little cigarette inside and close it quickly.
Close it quickly. That's the important part to the plan.
That's the roll. That's the roll you make. Like, do you close it again in time, or is the inside of the car now on fire?
To which, because the paint job is so well done, no one can tell when it happens, and you might still win the race.
Might still win.
As long as what is left of your foot is pressing on that gas pedal, then that car is swinging around like a lunatic anyway.
I could just imagine
no one can tell the difference.
The very end of the race, and the car just swerves to a stop. The door opens, flames burst out, and just a charred skeleton just falls out.
And someone runs over and puts a wreath around it. Oh, I'm looking forward to this game more and fucking more. Oh my god. Malvo says bootlegging the latest Jack Stallion variety.
Exactly.
Love that. Seance Knowles says Megan the Stallion with
a Y, yeah.
Yeah, well done. And Malvo says Schrodinger still.
Here we go. Boom. Done.
Schrodinger still is amazing. I love this game more and more that we talk about it. Let's bring us up.
Yes. Wait, let me get back to that screen. There we go.
That is so funny. Jesus Christ. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been at this for about
an hour or so now.
An hour, yep. And we have some very important scary movies to watch because and also videos because Dan and I and friend of the show Paige is here, and we very much like spooky movies.
Yes, we do.
And I really have some good ones lined up. So we're going to sign off, and we're going to sign off with a question, which is, if you had a team for a post-apocalyptic racing game that was based on a gimmick, and again, this is like a wrestling gimmick, it's super stupid, what would it be? Please tell us here, or tell us at our not Patreon, sorry.
Nope, our Discord.
Thank you, our Discord, Discord Fandible, and
or just go to fandible.com. There's a Discord link right on there.
Absolutely. So, yeah, please consider and tell us what you think your team would be named. I am Professor David, specializing in Shadowrun, and apparently not knowing how to drive in any sort of post-apocalyptic setting.
And I'm Professor Dan. Sorry, the stream hiccup there for a second. I'm still Professor Dan, though, and I'm mostly in charge of whatever all this bullshit here is doing, which, by the way, this was the last show of the week. We had the premiere this week. We have several new streaming initiatives here at Fandible.com Podcast Network. Every Thursday we will have the What's So Great About. This first week we started with What's So Great About Banana Light, oddly enough, and turns out a couple of things. These two. And we also took our first look at Gun and Slinger. And next Thursday, we'll continue diving into the worlds of Gun, and Slinger. And from then on, we'll continue looking at many of the PDFs that we have in our ginormous vault of PDFs. Every Friday, we're going to be doing the Fandible Listen Along as we release episodes every Friday. On Friday evenings, please join me and occasionally the other members of the cast as we listen along to our episodes and make fun of one another and mostly just talk shit about whoever the GM of the game happens to be. It's a great. I think it's got legs. This show.
What happens when it's your game?
Then we praise it unreservedly, completely.
Of course.
And then, of course, every Saturday here, office hours, where we do shit like this. And that. And so we're professionals, folks. We're professionals. Thank you. Thanks you.
Thanks you.
That's no.
This has been Sophist Hours.
Was it apostrophe? Thanks you, apostrophe, kind of like when you're doing something in chat, like hugs.
You are online far more than I
am. I've been terminally online since the late 90s. Dan Rodriguez signing off. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we will be back next week. And if you are interested in other stuff, there's other stuff. Go to our Discord.
Thanks you very much.
Thanks.
Please enjoy the next
you
Sophist
very
Hours.
much. Forever and ever. Thank you so much, folks.